Welcome back to the Daily Lift. Have you ever felt like you had nothing left to give? No resources, no options, no hope? Well, that's exactly where the widow in 2 Kings 4 found herself. But what happened next is one of the most powerful reminders of how God can provide, even when it seems impossible. So her story begins in desperation. She had lost her husband, she was drowning in debt, and her 2 sons were about to be sold as slaves to pay back what she owed. And in her despair, she did the only thing she could do. She turned to Elijah, the prophet of God, and asked for his help. And what was Elijah's response? He asked, "What do you have in the house?" And her answer was heartbreaking. "Your maidservant has nothing except a jar of oil." That little jar of oil became the key to her miracle, though. Elisha told her to borrow as many empty vessels as she could and start pouring her oil into them. Imagine her hesitation. What good could one small jar of oil do? But she obeyed. She poured and the oil kept flowing. It didn't stop until every vessel was full. When the widow sold the oil, she had enough to pay her debts with some left over. What seemed like nothing in her hands became everything she needed when she placed it in God's hands. There's so much for us to take away from this story. First off, God asks us to bring what we have. No matter how little it seems, He's not asking for perfection. He's not asking for abundance. He's asking for trust. Next, faith requires action. The widow didn't just sit back and wait. She gathered the vessels and she started pouring, even when it didn't make sense. Finally, God's provisions is always enough. He may not give us everything we want, but He'll always give us what we need. Maybe you're feeling empty today, empty of resources, empty of energy, empty of hope. Remember that God can take your not enough and make it overflow. Trust Him, obey Him, watch what He can do. And as always, go lift somebody up.